Sup guys, Eat That Protein 445 here. And let's be honest, dieting is kind of fucking long and boring. No one wants to sustainably lose 20 pounds over like 5 months. Everyone wants to lose 10 pounds as fast as possible. Most people go about it the complete wrong way. They starve themselves or they jump on some crazy fad diet that they can't stick to. But here's the thing, fat loss isn't magic. There's actually a very clear, proven, and even somewhat mathematical way to do this. So in this video, I'm going to show you the fastest, scientifically proven way to lose 10 pounds without destroying your metabolism, eating gerbil food, losing all your muscle, or just straight up hating your life. Even though it would probably be a very good idea, I'm not going to sell you some fucking detox tea, even though a little birdie has recently told me that I am working on a cookbook, but I'm literally breaking down the numbers, the science, and then exactly how I'd do it if I had to lose 10 pounds in the shortest time frame possible. So sadly, there's no way around this. Before we get into anything, we have to understand how fat loss actually works. I didn't make the rules, but in order for the scale to go down, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Calories, just like watts or joules, are simply a mathematical representation of energy. And every day, just like how your house uses power to keep your AC on, your body's burning calories just to keep you alive. Breathing, keeping your heart beating, digesting food, walking to class, training, all of it burns energy. And that total number of the energy you've used throughout the day is called your total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE. It's basically your metabolic system's daily energy bill. So here's the key number. 1 pound of fat is equivalent to 3,500 calories. So when we say I want to lose 10 pounds of fat, what we're really saying is I need to create a 35,000 calorie energy gap over some period of time. And real quick, if you're like me back when I was stuck, trying every diet, still not losing weight, or maybe even you do lose weight and you just aren't really happy with the kind of outcome and conditioning you're in, I'll coach you through the whole process, step by step, and build you little Debbie recipes, custom design the whole thing around the way that best suits you and your life. So if you want me to work with you personally through this whole process, first link below, or just shoot me a DM with the word coach on Instagram. 35,000 is pretty fucking high. It might even sound like a crazy, impossible number, but let me show you why it's not really that bad. If you spread that out over 6 weeks, that's about a 6,000 calorie deficit. Divide that over 7 days, and we're looking at about a 1,000 calorie daily energy deficit, which would mean your daily energy bill, or your TDEE, has to be 1,000 calories higher than the amount of calories you eat every day. And here's the mistake most people make. They think they need to cut those 1,000 calories just from food. So they go from eating like 2,500 calories a day, pretty reasonable, fairly like average amount of food someone might eat, straight down to 1,500. Or occasionally, I've honestly seen even lower than that. And what usually happens is you end up feeling like garbage, binging, and just eventually completely giving up. So to say the least, it's not really the move. Instead, you can split that 1,000 calorie deficit across both sides of this equation. And this is sort of the theorem around the most generic, technically correct, but watered down fitness advice you'll see people spouting in comment sections: eat less, move more. So for example, cut 500 calories from your diet, but also at the same time do 500 additional calories worth of cardio to bring up that electric bill. You know, set the AC to like 55 degrees when it's 80 outside, so that way you can go into debt at the rapid rate. But the idea is this will give you that 1,000 calorie deficit without feeling like you're starving and eating rat food. It makes it a lot more manageable. Cardio, activity, moving, walking more, all those things either make sticking to the diet like 2 times easier, or give you a little bit of extra leeway for fuck-ups and maybe going out with friends or something on the weekend. So that way you still make progress even if you are just a little bit looser with your diet. And another thing most people forget is not all 10 pounds lost on the scale are equal. When you first start a diet, a few pounds are usually just straight up water weight, food mass, and glycogen. That's why you might see like a 3 or 4 pound drop in the first week, and then it starts to slow down a little bit. And again, this is a totally normal thing that happens regardless of what your diet structure looks like. It doesn't mean you crashed your metabolism in a fucking week, or your diet just randomly stopped working when the weight loss slows down. It really just means the easy water weight's gone, and you're now actually losing fat. Just understand that every pound lost is just math. The foundation of everything is just creating that calorie gap in a way that you can actually stick to. So let's start with the most important piece: nutrition. At some point, you've probably heard the phrase, you can't out-train a bad diet. And that's literally true. If your nutrition is super sloppy and not dialed in whatsoever, it doesn't matter how much cardio you do. So here is the science-backed formula. Keep protein high. You want about 1 gram of protein per pound of of lean body mass. So if you're like 170 pounds but around 20% body fat, you're not gonna need 170 grams of protein. It'll probably look a little bit more like 130 grams to 140 grams, which 130 grams might not sound like a lot, but when you have limited calories to work with, things get a lot trickier. But it genuinely can make or break the results of your diet because it keeps you full, preserves your muscle mass while you're dieting, and it has the highest thermic effect out of any of the macronutrients. So your body burns more calories just by digesting it. Next, food quality matters, but food quantity honestly matters a lot more. Most people think they're eating around 2,000 calories, but when they actually go in and track it, it really looks more like 2,500 to 3,000. And that's why tracking is so important, at least until you get a really good feel for your portions. Now, how do you make this sustainable? My solution's been food swaps and recipes. So instead of buying chips at the store, buying something like Drizzlicious Bites or Smart Pop popcorn, making your caramel frappuccino at home with almond milk and skinny syrup, so it comes out to like 30 calories instead of 300. Instead of getting a 4-pack of crumble cookies, making your own 300 calorie, 30 gram of protein, giant chocolate chip cookie. It's just funny because that's exactly what I did like 2 days ago. Implementing these swaps alone can save you hundreds or sometimes even thousands of calories without even feeling like you're dieting. And again, I want to emphasize this, don't cut to or below 1,500 calories unless you just want to feel miserable and like triple the probability that you completely fail your diet plan. So like even if you could stick to 1,000 to 1,200 calories long enough to lose 10 pounds, odds are you're not gonna keep eating that way after the diet. You probably lost some muscle. The actual visual outcome wasn't the best it could have been. You're most definitely gonna see some rebound weight because you're fucking hungry and just hated the last like 3 to 4 weeks of your life. The goal here isn't to lose 10 pounds just to say you lost 10 pounds for 48 hours. It's to lose 10 pounds and keep the weight off. And for most people, probably even lose more weight and get even leaner beyond that. The hard limit is pretty much 1,000 calorie to 1,500 calorie daily deficit. A 1,500 calorie daily deficit means 3 pounds a week of real weight lost. Depending on your height, unless you're over like 250 to 275 pounds, going over 3 pounds a week of weight loss is just almost never a good idea. If you've ever played video games, just think of it like a soft cap. Sure, you can technically make the scale go down faster than that and get a little bit more dopamine and like validation or something from seeing it go down quick, but that's just the number on the scale. That's not how you're looking or the actual progress you're making towards whatever your goal is. You're not putting in all this effort to make some arbitrary number go down. You're doing it to get some kind of real world outcome. Regardless, like 1,000 to 1,500 calorie daily deficit is still fucking aggressive. You're pretty much going to be seeing some kind of change like every 2 or 3 days anyways. But now let's talk about the other side of the equation, which is calories out. There's a very easy peasy way to increase this, and that is just walking. Every day, I honestly end up doing somewhere between like 45 minutes, upwards of maybe even 3 or 4 hours of walking at my desk. Sometimes I'll do a slight incline, other days I'll do completely flat. It depends on kind of the big picture of where I'm at with my programming. How heavy am I going on leg days? How does my diet look? How are my knees and ankles feeling? That kind of stuff. But 2.5 hours of walking at your desk every day isn't realistic for everyone, but just aiming for like 8,000 to 12,000 steps daily can make a big difference. For most people, adding about an hour of walking per day can burn about 300 to 400 calories. That alone honestly covers a pretty decent chunk of your deficit. Then we've got resistance training, which is honestly where the real change in body composition happens. Or technically, I guess the real change happens after you lift while you're recovering. But the point is, lifting tells your body, hey, we kind of still need this muscle, so maybe don't just fucking burn it off and piss it out. The goal is, instead of losing 10 pounds and like 5 pounds are fat and 5 pounds are muscle, you lose those 10 pounds and 9 pounds of it are fat, and you think 1 pound is muscle loss, but it's actually just 1 pound of intramuscular water retention. And when you reverse back into maintenance or surplus, that refills and you gain all your strength back in like a week. But if you are lazy and you do not hit your protein and you do not lift your weights, you will significantly increase the chance that you look like a fucking alien at the end of your diet. Or maybe you won't look like an alien, but one of two things will happen. Number one, you're gonna have to lose a lot more weight than you otherwise thought you would have. Holy shit, if I just ate some protein and lifted weights here and there, maybe I would have saved myself like 2 extra months of diet. And on the other end, you finally complete your weight loss, you get skinny as fuck, and you're just not really happy with the end product after all that work you put in. It's like, damn, I've been dieting for fucking 7 months. Can I please see like at least an outline of my abs? But nope, we actually decided to eat 50 grams of protein a day and never touch a weight or do any exercise. So we're losing muscle in the same proportion that we're losing fat and shrinking ourselves down, but not really improving our body fat percentage and getting the fat off. You can kind of end up in a little bit of an endless circle of dieting like this. Or just, I guess, starve yourself down to 120 pounds, have crazy loose skin. It's definitely better than being fat. From experience, it's just, as someone that's gone through all this shit, after putting in all that effort and knowing you can put in that effort, you might as well at least do it right. Like when you lose 80 pounds and you end up skinny fat at the end of it because you messed some stuff up along the way, it really does kind of feel like, well, shit, I might as well like get the most out of this and figure out how to get a decent looking physique. And then yeah, for the lifting, 3 to 5 sessions per week, focusing on progressive overload, compound movements, and then adding in some extra cardio as needed. For cardio, you shouldn't be killing yourself with HIIT every day. Low intensity, steady state cardio like incline walking or biking is way more sustainable because you don't feel like you're gonna fucking fall over the next day. And you can do it again. There's honestly a lot more I have to say about that, but just trust me and do your low intensity steady state cardio, upwards of about 600 calories burned per hour. 30 to 90 minutes a day, depending on how much dog you have in you, and you'll accelerate your fat loss without feeling like a skinwalker. So now, to answer the question, how fast can you actually lose 10 pounds? For most people, being realistic, aiming for about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds a week means about 5 to 7 weeks for 10 pounds. And then if you really have that dog in you, or maybe you just have a little bit more fat on your body in general, like a 250 pound guy is gonna have a way easier time losing 10 pounds than someone who's 150 pounds. Or even you're just really dialed in and have no problem getting in a little bit of extra cardio, keeping your calories really tight, eating a lot of the food swaps, high volume stuff and recipes I talk about in my videos and I make for my coaching clients. My opinion on sort of the max speed kind of time frame is about 3 or 4 weeks. And that's like everything done perfectly. This is not a fun 3 or 4 weeks. This is like even with everything done perfectly, making the food swaps, incorporating some fun stuff, fucking eating a pound of watermelon every day for lunch, you're still pretty much, no matter what, gonna be like, please let this end. But again, the fastest rate of weight loss you really wanna be hitting here truly is about 2 pounds a week. And yeah, at the very beginning, you might lose more. But again, a lot of that is just fluff weight, glycogen, water weight, shit coming out of your ass. You could drop 4 or 5 pounds in the first week, keep everything the exact same in week 2, and maybe only see like 0.5 pound to 1 pound of weight loss. But that is just weight loss. I see these crash diet Instagram ads promising 10 pounds lost in 2 weeks, but like we just talked about, half of that isn't even real weight. And then what happens? You rebound because you probably don't like being starved, and the meat mech that you're piloting doesn't like it either. So instead, follow the science. Or don't, and just see what happens, like I did. Steady, 1,000 calorie deficit per day. Still aggressive, you're still gonna feel it. High protein, resistance training, consistent cardio so you're not eating rat food. On top of keeping everything sustainable, easy to follow, not completely overhauling your diet, doing your best to make the diet feel like you're not even dieting. And this is especially important the more weight you have to lose and the longer you have to be on it. And here's a quick daily setup of how this might look if I were trying to lose weight as fast as possible. So I'd probably have about 3 meals. Something light and very dense in protein around 10 or 11 a.m. 3 or 4 hours after I wake up, I almost always skip breakfast. This might be like a 200 calorie meal or something. Just something to give me a little bit of energy and get some protein in. Meal number 2, similar idea, except this one might be just a little bit more calorie dense. I'm talking maybe like 300 to 400 calories. Oftentimes, this will be like my pre-workout meal. So not only will I have the component of getting in some protein, but maybe even a little bit of carbs in there to fuel my performance. Rest of the calories, oftentimes right before I go to bed. Upwards of like 1,500 to 1,800 calories all in one meal or spread out over a few hours. Maybe I'm like watching TV or something and making bags of like Smart Pop popcorn. That's just the meal structure I like. Bullet point 2, starting your day with at least 20 to 30 minutes of walking. Hitting your lifts, ideally like 4 or 5 times a week, but you can get away with 3 technically. Add 30 to 60 minutes of dedicated, slightly higher intensity cardio on top. Still low intensity, steady state. It's just more difficult than walking. So again, you might see like 500 to 600 calories burned per hour. Track your calories until you know your portions. If you're able to, getting something like a standing desk and a treadmill, or just making it a point to walk as much as possible to get that step count as high as you can get it to accelerate fat loss as much as you can. Do that for like 5 to 7 weeks straight, and boom, with a setup like that, I could personally be down like 10 pounds-ish without starving, hating my fucking life, or even really feeling like I'm on a diet, with all the swaps, the structure, the extra cardio, so I'm not just eating leaves for dinner, and most importantly, without sacrificing muscle. So there you have it, the fastest, scientifically proven way to lose 10 pounds. Not keto, it's not a juice cleanse, it's not fucking fasting like Gandhi for a week. It's really just a smart calorie deficit, a high protein diet, resistance training coupled with consistent movement, and then wrapping it up, putting it all together, like with my recipes, just being intelligent when you're going to the store, volumizing your food, the structure and timing, like when you're eating your meals and the bulk of your food, executing all of that in a way that's easy to follow for you. If you want me to personally build out your plan, build recipes tailored and specific for you, work with you directly through the whole fat loss process, first link in the description, or just shoot me a DM on Instagram with the word coach.